All right. Now everyone should be seeing my screen right now. We're in Zoom webinar. So right now I'm the only one who can speak, but you should be able to raise your hand if you'd like to say something or ask a question, and I can activate your speaking capability. And actually, if someone wants to test that, just throw up a hand to make sure everything's working and that I know you're hearing me and that you can see my screen. All right, Lynn, thank you for throwing that hand. You should be able to talk now. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
awesome.
I can.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
So my name's Jason Cohen. I'm with Department of Consumer Protection, and I am not a well drilling expert, but I play one on TV, I guess. But I'm our Director of Operations, and I work on different projects, process improvement and whatever it is in our agency that no one else wants to work on. So we wanted to try and improve our well drilling reporting process so that it could be much more useful for everybody, for the drillers, for you guys, for us, public health, for the public and the well owners. As you are probably aware, the current process for well drilling, first the drillers obviously have to get licensed through us. And when they, before they drill a well, they have to actually come to us and order well drilling permit forms. So this is actually a form to order forms. So they fill this out, they send us $5 each, and we send them out to them. They fill it out, they bring it to you, they get approval, then they go out and they drill the well. And once it's all set, they're supposed to file a report that goes to multiple people, including us. And then once we get it, we upload it to our website. So you can come here to see the reports that we've received. It gets uploaded by town. So we go into Berlin, any subsections of that town, and then by year, you could go into whatever year, and then within that year, there's the TIF that it's one big scan for that town or that subsection town for the entire year. And this, just looks like this. So right off the bat, you can tell it's not a very useful system. I mean, you really have to know what you're looking for, and obviously it's not searchable, and you can't get any aggregated data across any of this information. So we really wanted to have a usable database. So let's see here. So what we are moving towards is, I don't know if anyone is familiar with the statewide open data portal. It's data.ct.gov. And the state's goal is to put all of our public data up there so that people can access it and use it however they need. So obviously this well data is already public, just not in a useful format. So we want to take that same information and make it usable. So by having people enter their report into an online system, we can then upload that data into our portal. And as you can see here, we can even map it to make it really useful. So this is just a sample with fake data that we've put out there. And in the top half, you can see here that this map, I can, zoom in. I can see there's 2 wells here. It'll zoom into those 2 wells. There's one here, one here. We've even got it color coded. Blue is a water supply well. This one's in New Haven. There's the address. Obviously, this isn't New Haven. This mapping is mapped based on the longitude and latitude that are entered on this well data. So irrespective of the address. So obviously, people have to be entering correct longitude and latitude. You could make the mapping based on the address, but that can be very or not very specific. So a accurate longitude and latitude will give us much better mapping, again, assuming it's correct. And actually, there's new regulations that are in the process of being approved, by the legislature and the governor's office that will require a latitude and longitude with a report with 5 decimal places. And 5 decimal places will give you an exact location, basically like the location of a tree, the location of a well. So that'll get you right where you need to be. And the well drillers won't need any special equipment to necessarily do that. Most cell phones will do that very well, even out to 6 or 7 digits. Decimal places, but 5 is all we're requiring. And as you can see, the data is actually displaying down below. But if you want to do more with the data or dive into the data more deeply, you can click on View Source Data, which I've already opened up over here. And you can do lots of things. There's a general search box. So if there's a term you're looking for, like say we want to see everything in Hamden, if I just type Hamden there, and enter, it quickly sorts, and you can see that it has sorted everything, filtered everything with the word Hamden in it, across all of the different fields. Or of course I can sort by a column up or down, or I can do more advanced filtering, where I can choose the field that I want to filter by, and whatever it might be, and match that filter with a couple of options. And I can export it, download the entire file and make use of it that way. So you can see this is a great resource, or potential resource once we go live with this. And as far as how this information gets in there, probably of less concern or interest to you, but it's through our state e-license system, which is the system, as the name would imply, we do all of our licensing through, at least at DCP, but there's about 10 or 12 agencies, if you look down here, that are using e-license now for various purposes, not only licensing, but we do our enforcement and casework in there as well. So you see right now I'm not logged in, and there's not a whole lot of options down here. But if I go ahead and log in, if I am logged in as a licensed well driller, I will then see this option here to file a well drilling report. It'll bring up my license. So if I have multiple, I can determine which license I want to file through. And then what am I actually doing? What type of well? Is it a water supply well, non-geothermal, abandonment, some other type of repair? And it's going to walk me through whatever I need to do. So let's say I'm doing a geothermal well here. It's going to ask me for the name of the property owner. Oh, let's say Sam Smith. And I'm going to collect the address of the well site. So this is the site, and Main Street in New Haven. And I know that's not the right zip code, but that's okay. And is the well owner, is the property owner the same address as the well location? I'll say yes, so I can skip that. We know that some well work is done before there are formal addresses. So you can, if a lot number applies, you can put in the lot number, the name of the drilling company, because obviously the licensed person isn't necessarily the company, but we want to know. So Jay's Drilling. What type of geothermal system? So all of these questions are the same things that we're already collecting on the paper forms, although we've actually enhanced it in some areas. How many borings were completed on this project? So for geothermal, we know that they typically do more than one. So I'll put 2 there, and we're going to allow them to submit up to 10 in one report. If they're doing more than 10, they just submit the report twice or multiple times. So for this particular boring, what's the number? This is going to be number 34. When did they drill it? And this is where they're putting in the latitude and longitude. And we actually have some bumpers on here to make sure that they're within the right range. So if they put in, say, 35, we say, no, that's not, a Connecticut area. You've got to be between 41 and 42 and a half. And we will be actually setting it so that they have to put in the 5 decimal places. And same thing on the longitude. It's got to be in the right range, which is actually going to put them, negative. And then all of these other criteria, which again, I'm just putting in. Random information here. Geological materials. So from 0 to 10 feet, gravel. Is there water here? No. And from 10 feet to 20 feet, I don't know, bedrock. Again, I'm not a geologist or driller, but yes, we'll say that's, I know you're not going to get water from bedrock. And then because we said there were 2 borings in this report, it's giving me the opportunity to put in the second boring. So that was 34, this one's 35, and I did this one today, and 41 and minus 72. And then actually I have to upload the required documents. So a copy of the approved permit that they got from the local health department. So I'll just grab a random document here. And a copy of the map. So they still have to draw a map. They could do it on their phone, it could be digital, whatever, but upload it. And if they want to, they can actually upload some photos to go along with it. So I'll print that JPEG there. And they just verify the information they're submitting. And then they can review all of the data. And if anything looks wrong, they can go back and fix it. We go ahead and submit it. Taking a little longer than usual to submit here. Much longer than usual. But that's okay. Oh, and a strange error. Regardless of that, so this is still in its testing and development, but it's essentially done. But before we go live, we wanted to reach out to all of the groups, kind of show our plans and discussing issues and get feedback. And obviously you guys are a key part of that. So that's kind of an overview of the reporting, the new planned reporting process. They entered online, and then on a daily basis, it gets uploaded to the data portal where people can view it and download data and search it and work with whatever else they need. As you can see here, everything that gets entered into that online reporting has its own field, including they can view a copy of the permit, the map, photo, all of the data. Now, because this would be submitted online, this would obviously replace the paper reports that they're completing now, those multi-sheet reports that I believe you guys are currently getting a copy of. So one of our first questions is, do you have any concerns about that? And we want to talk about how we can address that and make sure you're getting the information. Obviously, it would be accessible to you here on the database, on the open data portal. We could potentially have other types of notifications, but I'd love to hear from anybody on your thoughts and feedback. So go ahead and raise your hand and we can, all right, Stephen, thank you. Let's see. All right, Stephen, go ahead. You should be able to talk now. I think you have to unmute yourself, maybe.
Can you hear me?
Yep, there you are.
Okay. A printable version, I think, is important to submit to the health department. We need that in our files. That's where most homeowners are going to go to their local town or health district to get copies of this. They're not going to know about this portal and stuff. So I think a printable version, once all the data is entered, can be submitted to the local health as we do now, and at least we'll have that paper copy, because we need to review all this data too before we can sign off on a CO for the house to make sure the well is adequate and meets the code requirements.
Okay. Now, is that something that you necessarily need and want for every report, or is something you would need, when requested?
I would want it for every well that's drilled to put in the file for that particular property.
Okay.
I mean, if nothing else, it's a backup should this system crash or something go wrong with it. You have that paper, that gives you all the information, on the well.
Okay. Are other people have the same thoughts? Not seeing any other hands go up yet. Now, one other thought, we've been working on the reporting end, but as we were looking at earlier, there is also the permitting side, which again starts with us as far as getting the blank permits from us that then go to you for sign off. And right now, those are the, triplicate forms. Would you have any concerns if we went away from the triplicate forms and just made it a PDF that they could download for free? We wouldn't charge them the $5 per form anymore. They could download as many as they want and print them off and bring them to you. Would that present problems for you if they just had that single PDF form? Again, anyone who wants to speak, just go ahead and click the raise hand button and I can unmute you. Looks like Stephen, you're the only speaker so far.
Oh, can I unmute or mute myself back, or a lower hand? I see.
There you go. Did you have any thoughts on that, Stephen? If the permit request form that initially comes to you was just a single piece of paper rather than that,
No, I mean, that's fine. That's much more convenient to the well driller and everything on that end of it. But again, having that paper repository, I think, is important, because that's going to go along with everything else for the house, the septic system records and everything else. It's all in one place, so people aren't having to go all over the place to get that information.
Right. Which is also, part of the purpose of the data portal, to have one central repository. And obviously this would be for data going forward, but we're working with other state agencies at hopefully over time putting in all of the back data. DCP has records going back to 1970, but DEEP has them, back to 1950. So there are a ton of well records that we'd love to, import into this system so that we have a great usable map for all sorts of purposes. If there's some kind of spill, you can quickly see which wells are in the vicinity that need to be, looked at or addressed or warned, things like that. Now, as far as wanting a report of completed wells, would an email with all of the data be sufficient that you could print out and stick in the file?
Yeah, that would work if nobody else is going to speak up. as long as we have that record, it doesn't matter how it comes,
Yeah. Okay. All right, great. Yeah, we've got a quiet group this morning, but I appreciate you speaking up, Stephen. Thank you. Yeah, we could certainly arrange that. Obviously, to do that, we would need to have an appropriate email address for each agency, so that we could either automate that, or even if we, probably not manually, but we could set up that distribution. So we'd have to work on getting that set up. But I think we could easily put that together. What other thoughts or feedback do people have on this new process? We're hoping to actually implement it by the end of the year, but at least for the beginning, it will be an optional process. People can continue to use the old paper process or start working on the new process, with at some point a transition entirely over to the electronic process. Maybe that is timed with the approval of the new regulations, but we haven't finalized that. But again, any feedback on the process or even the timing I was just talking about. Okay, Deborah, thank you. All right, you just have to unmute yourself, Deborah, and you can talk.
Thank you. Stanford is going to an automated system, Viewpoint Cloud, and our records are going to be incorporated into that system. My question may not be relevant, but how is this system going to be able to interface with the different data collection systems in the towns throughout Connecticut? And do you have a vision for how that would happen? Or are we going to be responsible for communicating with the well drillers and the professionals that we do business with to make sure that they continue to submit their records to us? Thank you.
Yeah, great question, Deborah. Thank you. So yeah, this data portal, some data portal that's up on the screen right now, is very friendly with integrations, with APIs. You can, with the right tech people, you can easily integrate this data into different systems, either directly or if you're exporting it or whatever it might be. So yeah, we would envision that, in any system that you have where you want to maintain these, you'll be able to get it from this data portal fairly easily.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What other questions or feedback do people have? Certainly you may have things that you think of later. You can, people can reach out to me directly at DCP. It's just jason.cohen@ct.gov. Let's see. So you can see it there if anybody wants to email me directly. I'll have to put together a little registration system or something to collect all the contact info for the different agencies so that we can develop that system to get completed reports out to you. So that'll be a little project, and we'll try and reach out to you with that process the same way you were notified about this presentation. So hopefully everyone will get that info. And we also, recorded this session, so we'll make this available to everybody, both who could make it and who couldn't make it. I don't know, like I said, it was really just an opportunity for you to see this, but more importantly for us to get your feedback and address any concerns. And so far, the major one I heard is making sure that you guys get a copy of each report, which I completely can appreciate. But other than that, that's everything I wanted to share. So unless there are any further questions, happy to let everyone get on with their day. Well, thank you, everyone, and look forward to providing you some additional information and letting you know when we move forward. Thanks for attending.